The next area is going to be hours details before we look at actually processing payroll batches. So the hours detail table is where all of your employees' time entries are going to reside before you actually process a batch and post payroll. And this feature does a couple of things. Because it functions like a staging table, it allows the payroll module to bring in payroll data, time entries from any system that is in existence that can provide data in a CSV or text file, unless it's already built into Business Central. So if you're already posting time to like timesheets in Business Central, you can pull that into this staging table. If you're processing time entries with any other timekeeping system, whether it's maybe you're managing them by hand on an Excel spreadsheet, maybe you've got a timekeeping system, the data can be imported here. The details that are coming in with the time entries are going to allow the system to split out and allocate the costs across those dimensions, or using those dimensions as allocating triggers. And it can also use that information to trigger calculations. So if you have union codes, if you have project-specific codes that carry specific pay rates, position codes, things like that, then the details that are flowing through with the time entries can be used to trigger the rates and trigger the earnings calculations from within the payroll module itself. So you can have a highly complex payroll calculation requirement. And we've seen some really complex ones. You deal with Canadian school boards where you have multiple unions, multiple positions. Employees can be a part of multiple unions and work shifts and all kinds of things. Same thing with government contracting, all that kind of stuff. Prevailing wages can play into that as well. All of those sorts of unique details, if you can just bring in raw time with the necessary details into this module, and the system can automatically calculate the earnings and split it out and allocate it accordingly. So one way to show you a visual of the allocation is to go to a payroll document. So if I go to payroll processing and I open up Leslie Nope, who's got some hours in the table we were just in, and her hours have been split out based on specific dimensions. This is what her payroll document, and our term for payroll document is just the information that's going to be used to calculate and print a check, right? You can see the gross to net pay down here, and I've highlighted the earnings line. And if I go to payroll expense allocation, what you can see here is in the background, this is the level of detail that is actually going to flow through and hit your ledger in Business Central if you want that. So in this particular example, it's a very simple example, but her hours are split out by different department codes. And so the employee could just see earnings of, whatever the earnings are in this case, several $1,000s. And then behind the lines, you as an accountant would be able to see the detailed allocation splits based on the details that are captured or that are in play. Anything that's in the payroll system can be reflected on a pay stub if you want. The team just needs to know about it, and we can make sure that's configured for you as part of a setup.